To me, if I had to rank Pac-12 teams, UCLA, Oregon, USC.
It is happy hour. It is presented by Deschutes, Yogi Roth, Ashley Adamson. And I just have to start with the fact that Yogi, I got home from the airport Saturday night about 11:30, come into my living room, flip on the Stanford Oregon State game. I'm feeling exhausted. And there's a box next to the couch. And in it are like all of my new favorite things.
Yep.
Peter and Aubrey from Deschutes, freaking love you. This is going to be the best happy hour we've done because I got a whole box.
You got like
a whole box. So let's go.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start? Where do you want to start, Yogs?
I want to start with your uniform. I want to cheers you from texting from 30,000 feet. I kept calling you being like, I need to talk. You're like, dude, I'm on a plane.
I'm on a flight, bro.
A lot of drama was going on. I was leaving Tucson and I thought we were going to be celebrating and toasting to a Stanford Power 5 win. And we
I know.
Like celebrating one of the greatest finishes. Like in terms of just a single play, like I think of the Hail Mary. I think of like the Hail Mary. This wasn't like any Mary, but this was like basically, it's probably even more dramatic than that to a degree.
So can I, if we're having a truth teller session, can I tell you that I was texting Greg Mraz, our researcher, and I was confirming that over the last 2 weeks that home teams went 10-1 and there was 15 seconds left in the Stanford game. So I was assuming that Stanford was going to get the win. And as I'm texting it, all of a sudden he just writes back and goes, uh-oh. And all of a sudden I hear RG3 going nuts on my, so I missed, like I caught the tail end of that. Obviously I saw the replays with Trayshawn Harrison, but I had no idea what had happened. Like I thought the game was over and I'm getting ready to send out a tweet about how great the home teams are. That was, if we're going to start with a buzzkill and a buzz, man, my heart literally broke for Stanford. Like truly that one, I was a gut punch in every way, but that was Pac-12 After Dark. Like if you could bottle up and sell Pac-12 After Dark, like it would be those final 15 seconds of that game. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, that's one. If you're a player, like you don't leave the locker room for a long time. Like you're just kind of sitting there and you're like, how? Because they generated the energy, at least from the TV screen. And you talk to a couple of people over there and it's like, man, the vibe was so good. This was such a great opportunity for them to get right, going up against a backup quarterback. They played, I thought, much more aggressive on defense than they had in the past. They're bringing pressure, having fun, making plays. Bryson Tremaine is back with one of the best catches of the season. And then that finish was just like, it was just so weird. Like, I don't know what was going through Patrick Fields' mind or like anybody's mind as that's happening. And it's easy to like criticize, but it was just such a funky, like, whoa, the ball's in his hands, in his gut. Yeah. And then it happened.
Again, because I missed it in real time because I'm getting ready to send out a tweet about how good the home teams have been over the last 2 weeks. I saw all the replays and it's one of those things that sits with you for a while. And it's a reminder, and we hear coaches say this all the time, but it is so true. It is a game of inches. Like the difference in the winning locker room versus the losing locker room that night on the farm. I mean, it's this much. So
well, I'll say this, and I know you'll appreciate this. Yeah. This week on the Pac-12 Network, we have a feature on Tanner McKee coming out. They go and play Notre Dame Fighting Irish, the team that you and I grew up around, right?
Yes, we did.
Now look, Ron Paulus isn't playing. Jimmy Clausen isn't playing. So I think Stanford has a chance in this game. And the reason I don't think they'll have a hangover from Oregon State is because of the feature I referenced about Tanner McKee. This is a young man when he was a teenager, had to deal with cancer, had to have a surgery in his scalp where if they missed by a millimeter, he wouldn't be able to make the throwing motion with his throwing arm ever again. And it was amazing. He let us into his home with his parents, now his wife. Like we really got to tap into the DNA of him. He's a captain. He's the leader. Like I think this team gets right. Notre Dame has gotten right. It won't be easy by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't think they will allow themselves to get beat 2 weeks in a row by one of the craziest Pac-12 After Darks we've seen.
And I will say, to underscore that, I have seen this feature and it is phenomenal. So whether you are a Stanford fan or not, you're going to be a Tanner McKee fan if you're not already, because it is the journey that he's been on, all of the life experiences that he's been on, including his mission. I mean, you tap into all of it, and it's awesome to get to know his family and his parents and his wife for sure. As long as we're talking quarterbacks, like, how much can happen on a sat? That's the thing. Like, I'm like, we have so much to talk about. I don't have enough here.
No.
Okay. So on a day in which Dorian Thompson-Robinson enters the chat for the Heisman, I mean, let's just, all of my hats off to you. Cheers to you, DTR.
Back-to-back weeks. Can't say.
I mean, and I want to like dive into that. But on that same day, we saw two backup quarterbacks, and you just mentioned Oregon State, Ben Gulbranson, come up with two of the most memorable wins of the Pac-12 season so far. So you got Gulbranson getting Oregon State a win at Stanford in the final 15 seconds. And then what I saw in real time was Trent Bourget coming in for an injured Emory Jones at ASU and beating number 21 Washington. Like, it was as if he knew he was going to play. Like, he just came in, he was so cool, calm, and collected. He had such mastery over the offense. I mean, it was the first play he came in, Valade scored a touchdown. I mean, it was a rushing touchdown, but then they ripped off 3 straight touchdowns. And it felt like every time he had the ball in his hands, just, they knew exactly what they were doing. So I couldn't have been happier for Sean Aguano and that entire ASU locker room, because they've been through it, right? The last few weeks, it has been hard. It's been longer than that, but it's been hard, I think, for what's going on with that program. And Sean Aguano, you could tell, I mean, he was almost in tears on our set. You could tell what the moment meant to him. And he now, without a doubt, I think has entered the conversation for, he is going to have a chance to prove himself as potentially the full-time head coach beyond just this season. Because that team has come together, and you always talk about, it's your message every time a team goes through a coaching change early in the season, compete to stay connected. And that's exactly what's going on at ASU. So I am pouring some out right here into my mouth 100%. For ASU and Sean Aguano and Trent Bourget.
Anytime we have a walk-on, a former walk-on, and I believe this wholeheartedly, and it's biased because I lived it, but I think it is dramatically more challenging to earn a scholarship in college than to be offered one in high school. I just do, because you're around better players. Like, you could be the best dude in the suburbs of Denver, Colorado. You could be at Mullen High, Ashley Adamson getting offered everywhere. But if you go do it at a Power 5 school and you don't have one, I just think it just takes more.
Yeah.
Like, to tap into a reservoir of your potential that you might didn't even know was even there. And Trent Bourget, I'll say this: we were there last training camp, Ted Robinson and I. We're next to him, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, I think I can go run this offense." That was like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And then we saw it play out on that corner route. I just watched him like, this dude looks like he's belonged.
He knows exactly what he's doing. But it was, I genuinely, and my heart, again, it's like a buzzkill for UW. There's always somebody on the other side of it. I don't know if you heard Michael Penix's post-game press conference, like, talk about just ripping your heart out. That kid is tough. He got, knocked out of the game for a play on that final drive, and then came back in and had a shot there. And they obviously, there's plays that they want back on both sides of that ball. Their defense, it was not good, if we just call it what it is. Like, their defense really struggled, but I couldn't have been more impressed from what I saw from ASU. And they all came. I mean, we had like 6 or 7 different guys come over for the post-game interview. Usually you get one. They brought everybody. It was awesome. Jordan Clark was there. Elijah Badger came over, ex-Valade. It was awesome. So yeah, it was a cool moment. It was a day game, but it somehow wasn't as hot as we all thought it was going to be. And now they go into the bye week, and I just feel like this is a team that could do some damage and spoil some things down the stretch. There's no question in my mind.
Yeah. Well, look, number one, you knew it was a big deal because midway through our game in Tucson, I get a text from Mark Brand raving about Trenton Bourget. So not surprised about that.
Oh yeah.
Everybody excited. How about Todd Graham was in the house too? I mean, it was kind of cool.
I know. Pat Tillman's parents were there. I mean, it was a cool night.
Okay.
So you're down in Tucson. Hold on. I don't mean to cut you off, but we got to talk about
Yeah,
We gotta talk about your night.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. But I just to put a bow on Arizona State, because we've spent a lot of the season not talking about them. And I think it's fair to your point. Bye week at Stanford, who has clearly struggled, and they'll be coming off a physical Notre Dame game. At Colorado, there's a world where they put 3 straight wins together. And then they get UCLA, which will always be packed at Sun Devil Stadium because of the LA connection. Go to Wazoo, Oregon State, and then the Territorial Cup. Like, UCLA to me is playing like a top 10 team, and I think they're being robbed in the AP poll. We'll get into that. But like, there's a world where they can kind of win some games.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying, like, there's hope. And that's what Ted always.
There is major hope.
There's hope. And that's all you need sometimes.
Amen to that. That's hope is all you need. Yeah. Look at you getting all philosophical.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to start with Oregon, Arizona, or do we need to talk about UCLA, Utah? Because there's a lot to unpack in both of those games. And I couldn't have been more impressed.
I'll say this, at the top of the pack, we see SC in the AP poll. And I get it, because I think overall they've had the most consistent performances week 1 to now. But I'll say this, Oregon, since week 1, has played the best for the longest period of time. Complete domination in Tucson. They're just the better team. Shut down the passing attack. Christian Gonzalez, man-to-man against Jacob Cowing. Majority of the ball game, when it was a ball game. Arizona hurt themselves with the early turnover, of course, so they're moving the ball. But at the end of the day, this Oregon O-line is the best O-line we've seen in the league in a long time. And I get the opponent and the defense in front of Arizona, but they've done it to everybody. And I get the Georgia game, but I just keep coming back to they're not 49-3 against Georgia. 29 missed tackles, 376 yards after contact. They've done nothing like that since then, and Bo Nix is balling. So I say that of like, there's a world where you say Oregon's playing the best football in the league. Now, simultaneously, you say, well, UCLA's got the best resume, I think, in the league. Now, they didn't look good in their first 3 non-conference games. We called the South Alabama one, and nobody cares that they have 15 Power 5 transfers on the roster, and I understand that. But you look at their last 2 weeks, they beat a ranked UW team, because that's what the CFP committee is going to talk about, a ranked win, and every other league's going to talk about it, so we should too. And then they dominate Utah. We talked about this game last week, and I'm thinking, the defensive front of Utah, Zach Charbonnet, throw him in the Heisman race. Almost 200 yards on the ground. This O-line who's replacing 3 starters, 2 tackles, and a guard. I think they're all in the NFL. Like, they didn't miss a beat, and they've just kind of come together. To me, if I had to rank Pac-12 teams, UCLA, Oregon, USC, based on performance over the last couple games, and specifically over the most recent one we saw. Who knows? Like, I think they could all beat each other, but that's where I would go after what we saw yesterday.
I don't think I could argue with you. And I just, let's go back to DTR, because he's now thrown more touchdowns than anyone who has ever worn that UCLA uniform. And you've known him for a long time. You've had so many conversations with him over the years. To watch him do what he's doing now, his decision to come back, the disrespect that he was hearing and feeling and all of that, for him to be playing the way that he is playing right now, and to have Zach Charbonnet as the compliment on the ground, to have Jake Bobo show up and just, I mean, there's like a connection. You can see it growing like every single week between those two. It is, for all the UCLA fans that wanted Chip Kelly out last week, this is what goes back to, like, you got to have patience. It takes a little while to build something. And DTR is now officially a Heisman candidate. Can he is in that conversation. Yeah.
And I want to quell argument that will undoubtedly come up about him. We'll say, well, 5 years. Well, 5 years in the system. He should be playing that well. Let's just give you some context around him. 304. Remember the number, Ash? You're going to use it many times on your show. 304 pass attempts in his high school career. Dude is a wide receiver as a junior. Didn't transfer, didn't bail when it got hard. Stuck it out, started as a senior, where they roll every game. They're up like 40-0 at halftime, pretty much every game. 304 pass attempts. Why do I say that? It's because most high school quarterbacks come in with over 1,000 attempts. I mean, they've played a lot. They've thrown it against coverages. They've thrown it to live receivers, regardless of if you are Mullen High School or Lackawanna Trail High School or Bishop Gorman High School, right? It doesn't matter. Like, you're getting reps. And for him, he got none. And then year one, second quarter, Cincinnati at home, he's playing for Wilton Speight. Week 2, first start at Oklahoma against then Lincoln Riley and that Sooner team. Up and down freshman year, up and down sophomore year, pandemic third year, challenging first half against Colorado, bunch of turnovers. Since that moment, he played at a dramatically high level. And now his attempts are over 1,000. My point is that, like, he's played ball. So to say, well, anybody who plays 5 years would do that, or he should have left after 3 if he was really good. Like, it's the most intricate position in sport, and it's one where you have to develop. And he is not playing catch. Quarterbacks in some systems just play catch and throw it to green grass. He's playing quarterback. He's manipulating defenders. He's doing it with his eyes. He's doing it with his legs. He's doing it in the zone read game. He's playing with confidence. And most importantly, as he said this season, his only goal was to, quote, love the hell out of my teammates, end quote. I see the leadership traits that Chip Kelly taught him. He talked about it on my podcast, The It Factory, last week. They're just coming to fruition. They're just rising to the surface. And I can't wait. I can't wait for 2 weeks from now.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, now the let the hype begin. And there's another big game coming up this weekend. There's a lot of big games coming up this weekend, as there always is. But that game, UCLA at Adamson, both will be coming off a bye. So you just imagine all the things that are going to be going into the next 2 weeks for both of these teams playing chess, and Chip Kelly back in Eugene. I mean, there's just so many storylines. Like, I can, the smile on your face is exactly how I feel. Cause I'm like, oh, it's going to be fun to talk about this game for 2 weeks. Cause we'll have to. How do you think that one plays out? Just gut reaction.
Well, you always ask me a question at the end of the show here to jump to the last block, right? Your question is like, what are you most confident in? Right? Something like that about a team.
Who do you believe in most right now?
What do you believe in most? Tell you what, I've never said this before, and I don't know if I'll say it many times, but I believe in the executives in Bristol, Connecticut, sending College Game Day to Eugene. It's a no freaking brainer. Chip Kelly, the drama, the success, all the things. Dorian, all the things we talked about. Charbonnet, all the things we talked about. Dan Lanning, this team is as hot as anybody in the country in terms of consistency of play and how they've continually grown. Heisman candidate? Talk about Bo Nix. Or we want to just like give people, as a Heisman voter, I'm with you. Like, you get hyped up after week 1 games. But the reason you are granted the honor of a vote is to evaluate the season, not just seek a Heisman moment. I think Heisman moments are like, they're cool. And Carson Palmer had one. Leinart had one. Certain guys have one. But generally, I think they're kind of BS. Like, you got to see the totality of an impact. Because the definition is the player who exhibits excellence with integrity. DTR's in the dialogue. Bo Nix finally playing free. He got out of Auburn. We've seen what's going on there. Like, he's playing his most confident. Like, this is going to be a great football game. What does my gut say? I got no clue who wins this game.
Isn't that fun though? That's good.
You gotta go? I mean, this is like an actually Adamson game. Are you going to that game?
No, I will not be at that game. As of right now, I'm not. We're not at that game. But I will tell you what, I couldn't be more excited. And again, for all of the reasons, like the fact that they both get extra time to prepare, the fact that they're both, 2 undefeateds in conference play. There's so many, the storylines write themselves. 2 elite quarterbacks, just for days. So excited for that one. But before, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves though.
Okay,
we do need to, and we've gone way over, and we're probably going to get in trouble, and that this is probably going to be edited out because we've gone way longer than we're supposed to. But I've still got like 7 more beers, so I'm here for the long haul.
Well, we got to talk about Salt Lake City.
Well, I was just going to say, we need to talk about the game next week, USC at Utah, and the Utes licking their wounds a little bit from what happened at the Rose Bowl on Saturday that we referenced. Your thoughts on this one? Because again, there's a lot of different ways you can slice it. And I think Utah coming off a loss is even a more dangerous team than if they had been able to come out with a win against UCLA.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And I think we will know, here we sit Sunday evening, by Wednesday, Thursday, we're know a lot more. What's the status of Jordan Addison?
Yeah.
Status of Shane Lee? What's the status for the receivers of Utah? Like, there's some notable players that we need to find out if they're going to go and the extent of which they will go. I think there's that. I don't have the stat in front of me, but I can't imagine there's a lot of games where Utah's given up 200 plus rushing yards back-to-back weeks. I just can't imagine it. DNA of this program is just totally different. Now, Chip Kelly, Lincoln Riley, two of the best play callers in the game. They find matchups and exploit them. Chip did that. Lincoln will try to do that. I think this is going to be a great opportunity for SC because to me, they're the underdog going in. I know they're favored, but I say it because it's a place that sold out 70 plus straight games in a row. You're getting them off a loss with one of the best coaches in the game. And last time we saw SC on the road, we were all there at Oregon State. I think it's a great opportunity for them to learn from that. I can't wait to see how they handle that.
Yeah.
And then you get to the football, Ash. The last 2 weeks, look, SC gets everybody's best. And I think it's important to note that, much like a lot of the top teams in America. But they haven't been as efficient as we saw them early in the season. Jake Dickert in the defense, they were very active. They got after a little bit. Like, how does Utah try to play SC? Do they mix up coverage? Do they say, hey, Clark Phillips, you're going to play Jordan Addison and Mario Williams, and let's just ride and see what happens? Like, there's so much to talk about. And for Utah, while they're out of the playoff with their second loss, they can still get back to Vegas because they play everybody. When you look at the standings, they played UCLA, but they play Oregon in week 11. They play SC this week. And I know that Kyle Whittingham has already told his team that. I'm sure he did in the locker room right after the game. So yeah, this is a championship atmosphere. Fox, 5:00. We'll be glued to that one as soon as Arizona UW is over.
Well, and that's what we should wrap with that, because you and I get to hang out this weekend in Seattle, homecoming. And I think Kalen DeBoer, we talked about this on Saturday. He's only ever in his entire head coaching career lost back-to-back games now twice.
Yeah.
So Washington, 4-0 start, flying high. Who could stop Michael Penix? And still many people, he hasn't really been stopped. He's had some turnovers in that, but it's been the defense. Like, what is the defense going to do against another very high octane offense coming in Arizona? And they've got what I would argue, and we did have this argument on the air on Saturday, the best receiving core in the Pac-12 when you look at their top three guys. Who's your best receiving core in the Pac-12?
I went with SC. I think Jordan Addison is such a difference maker.
Yeah.
I do like the trio of Arizona, but the trio and Jane DeLora did not play to that standard on Saturday night. We're going to be truth-telling, right? He was off. I don't know if he was pressing or his feet weren't set. It's not like he was hit all night, but they kept him in the pocket all game. And I think that caused a lot of problems. They were timing up when to jump. There's at least 3 batted balls, right, that led to negative plays. Like, they got to have a bounce back game, and they will. And that's, I think, the thing you learned from Jed Fish when he was mic'd up. Check it out on the Pac-12 social channels. His DNA is all over this program. Like, they are not going to lay down, much like Kalen DeBoer is inserting his DNA all over Washington. And I think for Arizona, this is a good opportunity because it's the secondary of UW that has really struggled. Like, I think Arizona will have the opportunity to move the ball and get back to what we think is one of the top 2 or 3 receiving cores. Number 3 for me coming into the weekend was UW, Roma Dunze and company. They still moved the ball. They weren't perfect, but I think this is going to be a lot of points, right? Arizona's front is not Arizona State's front, though. So I'll be curious to see if UW can run the football. Oregon ran the football a bunch. Michael Penix Jr. is a threat with his legs, much like Bo Nix was a threat and so effective with his legs now in back-to-back weeks. So I think we're going to get a great game. It's family weekend. Crowd will be awesome. You'll be there. My family will be there. I can't wait.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say family weekend for real, because we got Amy and the kids are coming. Let's go.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah. So Cal, Colorado, by the way, kicks everything off at 11 a.m. on our air on Saturday. And then, as mentioned, we've got Arizona, Washington at 2:30. Where's your foam finger?
I can grab it. Hold on.
Just come on, dude. You can't.
I had to keep it up high. I got 2-year-old to eat everything.
That's true.
I mean, you're a little past that stage, I feel like. I've seen one of these since I was like a kid.
These things are amazing. So speaking of, my 3-year-old saw this when we pulled up this morning, and she was just like, what is that? She walked all around the neighborhood this morning with number one beer to shoot. So just, I'm getting judged by the neighbors, which I should, but it is all worth it. Yogs, I could go for a lot longer, but I think this is officially going to do it. Cheers to you.
Give me a fun Saturday. Hey, don't forget the nightcap.
I was just going to say, and then Washington State, Oregon State in the nightcap at 6:00 on Pac-12. So another great triple header. You're number one, Yogs.
You know,
number one, baby.
Well, Sunday nights, we don't do this often.
This is a treat. This is an absolute treat. Did you get to miss like bath time and bedtime for this? I hope.
You know, it's right before.
Okay.
How about you?
Good luck with that. My kids aren't here. They're at their grandparents.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoy your evening.
I'm going to go.
A couple more Deschutes.
I'm going to go enjoy my evening.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for watching.
Yeah. God bless. See you later.